What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and all things considered, not a terrible result. Considering we're missing like three of our best players, I believe, it's not that bad. We're playing Seattle at their place. 0-0 draw. I would have liked for us to have gotten a goal, maybe make it a 1-1 draw or whatever, but I mean, honestly, there were some chances that they had, there were some chances we had. It was very back and forth for most of the game. So all in all, I mean, it really was it was a good result for us, a decent performance overall. So not a whole lot to complain about. But first, I do want to talk about just a couple of the things that did, I think, affect the game the most for us. Obviously, Martinez is out for a few weeks now. That ultimately is going to hurt us because I've talked about him before. He really is just a really hard worker when it comes to being up top. I mean, a lot of his goals are just he's not that tall, he's not that fast, but he works so hard that it doesn't matter because he's putting so much pressure, he's making the right runs. He's a very smart forward. So not having him for the next few weeks is really going to hurt, in my opinion. And we saw kind of the, I guess the effect of that tonight because we couldn't really get on the end of those passes. We couldn't find the shot to put it away. So that will hurt us. Obviously, not having Carmona and Almiron in at first also hurt us a little bit. Mainly with Almiron, obviously the playmaking part of his game was missing in the first half. And with Carmona, there was a little bit of, I guess, there were a few too many times where a player for Seattle had way too much space to run at the defense, where normally Carmona would be stepping in there. Laurentowicz doesn't read that as well, so they were really lacking in that area. But all in all, let's talk about the individual performances. Cam had quite a bit to do tonight, had to make a few good saves, uh, had to come out of his goal a lot because there was a lot of pressure. So he really was put under a lot of pressure and for the most part handled it okay. There were a few times where he looked just a little bit shaky back there. A couple of clearances that weren't right, a couple of times where he comes out and misses a punch or mishit a punch. So yeah, all in all, it was an average performance from him. But he did have a lot to do, so take the good with the bad, I suppose. On right back, Mears again still looks solid. There are a couple times where he gets caught, I think, stepping up and doesn't really get back. He doesn't read that as well. And truth be told, I mean, obviously, this is the most attack-minded team that we've played in a while. Red Bulls were a little bit, didn't know what to expect, so didn't really go full out attack. Minnesota wasn't that great, and Chicago got an early red card. So we haven't really faced a team like Seattle yet that just have a really strong attack. In the first half, obviously, there were some players that were doing a few things here and there, but once they brought Dempsey on, that kind of changed the dynamic of the game to where now they've got somebody up there who knows what he's doing, who knows how to move the ball around, who's a very smart, very, I guess, physical forward. And so once that happened, they started going all out attack, and when that happened, you saw Mears just kind of getting caught out of position a little bit because he's so used to us having possession and pushing forward that we don't really have to worry about a full-on counterattack with 4 or 5 players. Most of the time, we just have to worry about the 2 strikers. Well, they're sending everybody forward. It kind of got a little scary, but I mean, he still does well as far as his defensive tackles, as far as playing the ball up and down the line, sending it across when he needs to. He still does well there. There were a few passes that went astray, but that happened for everybody, so nobody was not guilty of that tonight. Nobody was not guilty of making a bad pass. But all in all, Mears definitely works hard. Parkhurst and Perez in the middle, both once again very solid, just very, very smart in how they play. Because one of the things that the announcers kept talking about was Jordan Morris's speed. We never really got to see that tonight because they were so good about stepping in at the right time, winning the ball back to prevent him from getting up to speed. So they did a really good job of containing him throughout the entire game. The difficult part came when Dempsey came on, and all of a sudden now you got 2 strikers to deal with, and one of them is Dempsey. It's really hard for them to deal with. I think going forward they need to start looking at what to do whenever they're faced up against 2 strikers that are really solid, because so far we've only really faced teams that have either had one solid striker and one okay striker, or they just have one up top and that's all they have to deal with. When they threw 2 up there, it looked like things got a little bit shaky. like I said, the midfield wasn't really dropping back and helping out defensively, so things started to get a little bit shaky back there. So that's something I think they need to work on a little bit more. But of the two, I would say Perez definitely looked a lot more lively. I think part of that is because he likes to get forward a lot, and whenever he did that, thankfully Laurentowicz read that and dropped back into his position. So it wasn't like he's leaving the defense completely empty-handed, but he does pretty well going forward. He just drives with speed and with strength. So it's interesting to see whenever he does get up there what he can do with that. You know, the defense doesn't really know how to handle him, and all of a sudden he's creating something out of nothing. So I just really think that of the two, he's the more mobile. Parkhurst is obviously more of the leader. He's very intelligent in how he makes his tackles, but Perez is more of I guess, the physical side of it. And then on the left, Garza looked a little off the pace, more in the second half than in the first. But there were times where it just felt like the Garza that I've been seeing over these first three games, very confident, doesn't give up the possession easy, plays the ball around very smoothly and with confidence. I didn't see that from him a whole lot tonight. Tonight it was a lot more. It was like he was under pressure too much, and so he didn't know what to do, or maybe the movement around him wasn't good enough. But a couple times he just gave the ball away, and I'm just like, I haven't seen that from him this year. You know, if he gives it away, most of the time it's because he's looking for some dangerous ball, and the defense read it. But he was giving up simple passes. It's just like, I haven't seen Garza do this year. So, like I said, everybody else was giving up passes as well, but he was the one that I thought was going to be a bit more technical with his feet and moving the ball around quickly. He wasn't doing that as well tonight, and I don't, like I said, maybe it was just the high press. They're not used to that from some of these other teams, but yeah, he didn't look up to the same pace that I think we've seen him over the first three games. And on top of that, you know, maybe his hip was hurting him. Obviously, it hurt him near the end of the second half, but maybe he was struggling with it throughout the entire game, and that one time just got too much to handle. I don't know, but something was definitely off about him tonight. I couldn't really put my finger on it. Into the midfield had Gressel, Laurentowicz, and McCann. Couldn't really tell who was playing where. Obviously, Laurentowicz was a more defensive player. From him, I've complained about him before. I've talked about how he's slow on his touch. He's not doing enough to get back. I still saw some of that tonight. Like I said, there were too many times where a Seattle player picked it up and they're in front of our defense. There should be a defensive midfielder like Laurentowicz there, but he's not there. He's stepped out wide, or he's like behind them, he's come from behind, so he's not back in his position. So there's still happening too much, but he did do some really nice things tonight, made some good passes, made some good tackles. So he wasn't 100% awful tonight. Like, I don't think I saw a whole lot of good in his play in the first three games. Tonight there definitely was a lot to his game that I saw where you can see that he is a bit more experienced as a player. He does make a few tackles that some of these younger players don't know. You know, they don't know how to put a body in on a player like Dempsey, and he's stepping in, knocking him off the ball easily. So he did do some good things here and there, but I still think he's lacking in some areas of his game where you need a defensive midfielder who's going to put that pressure on and not let a Seattle player have all the time they want in the midfield. So Gressel was once again a bit more of the up and back, I believe. He does so well with just, I think, picking up the ball, using his strength to hold off any pressure, and then playing it. I will say that once they started throwing two or three guys at him, that's when he started making mistakes. So he's got to learn to play either a bit quicker or learn how to hold off even more. But he definitely has a lot of bright spots in his game that I think, just looking at him going forward, looking at him holding up possession, looking at him sometimes making a last-ditch tackle in the midfield, he does do a lot of stuff that makes me hopeful to see what else he's going to do. Now, I think we need to maybe nail down a bit more where he is in the field, whether it's box to box, whether he's more holding or more attacking, because there are a lot of times where it feels like he gets up and he doesn't get back, or he's stepping up very slowly. He's not really getting up in the attack. So I'm not really sure what he's supposed to be playing, and I don't know if he knows what he's supposed to be playing, but he definitely has a lot of potential. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do in the future. McCann, first start for him, and looked pretty solid. He definitely was the most, I guess, unnoticed of the three midfielders. He just didn't really get involved as much as Gressel or Lewentowicz were. And whenever he did get on the ball, sometimes he did something good, or sometimes it was, he held on to it too long. He should have played it a bit sooner. I don't know, just I didn't really see a whole lot from him, and I was hoping getting to see somebody new on the field that we haven't really seen a whole lot of. I was hoping to see like a ton of stuff that was just going to make me think, yes, I can't wait to see more of him. But honestly, I didn't really see that much of him because he wasn't really that involved. So I don't know if that's just because that's just the way, that's just his style of play. He's a bit more a withdrawn player. He steps in when he needs to. I don't know, but when you think about a midfielder, you think about a player who's going to step in, win the ball, play the ball around, distribute. I didn't see that from him. I didn't see enough from him. He was very uninvolved tonight, so a little bit disappointing there. Up to the front three, you had Assad on the left, Villalba in the center as the striker, and then Peterson on the right. Assad, he definitely has been one of the more exciting players for me, but tonight it felt like he was trying to do too much, and some of that could be because or without Martinez up top making the right runs, part of that could be he's waiting for the run. Villalba doesn't see the same run, and so now he's got to hold on to it a bit longer, waiting for somebody else to make the run. But there were a couple times where there is obviously somebody right there to play to, just drop it off, or somebody in the middle you can send it across to, but he's holding on to it a bit long. And most of this was in the second half. First half he did okay, but second half it felt like he was just trying to do too much on the ball. He's getting knocked off of it. He was getting the ball picked off of him while we're trying to step up. We're trying to put the pressure on them a little bit, trying to get them out of our half. All of a sudden, Assad gets it. He holds up one player who pokes it off of him, and now all of a sudden we're on the defense again. And this is something, for the high school team I coach, Spalding, represent. That's one thing that we actually had to deal with tonight in our game, where our midfield and our forwards aren't really holding up the ball that well. They're trying to do something too stupid or trying to dribble through pressure, and then they lose it, and all of a sudden now they're back at our defense. They keep coming at our defense over and over and over again. The same thing was happening second half. We're trying to get it up to Assad and Villalba and whoever else is up there. We're trying to get it up to them so we can get it out of our half and stop putting so much pressure on our defense. Well, he does something stupid, loses the ball, and now all of a sudden we're on defense again. So as far as that goes, it frustrates me to see somebody do that, because you've got help, you've got people you can play to, or even if you don't, even if nobody's up there with you, don't just lose it right there and give them the chance to come back at us. If anything, kick it out of bounds for a goal kick or something like that, so we have more time to rest. So I don't know. I was disappointed with that part of his game, but the first half he did pretty well. Just good movement, made some good runs, and definitely did well because, like I said, Villalba wasn't making the same runs Martinez was. He did well to hold up the play so somebody else could make a run in. But near the end of the second half, he started fading out the game because I think he was just really tired. A lot of that is because he was putting so much pressure on himself, but, it is what it is. Peterson on the other side, first start for him. It looks solid. He works very hard, and I think that's something that he has going for him. He doesn't really have the same technical ability as Assad or as Villalba do, but he definitely has a lot of hard work in his game. He's one of those, I'm just going to work so hard, I'm going to make sure anybody who comes in to steal the ball, no, it's my ball, I'm taking it, you're not getting it off of me. Even if they do get it off of him, he works so hard to win it back that it's almost like they didn't have it in the first place. So he works very, very hard, and I appreciate a hard-working player like that. So didn't do anything incredible tonight, didn't really do anything special to really help us going forward, but he's definitely somebody that I can see, into the game you need somebody that's going to sort of work hard to keep possession for you. He's definitely that type of player, and honestly, when they took him off, we didn't really have possession as much. So, and then of course up top, Villalba definitely looks a bit more promising as a striker for me. I don't know if anybody else thought that, but I don't know, just as a winger, it always felt like he was trying to do too much, or the runs weren't really that great from the wing. But tonight, his runs were actually pretty good. He has good speed, so he's nipping in behind. A lot of those were just 1 inch off for the most part. So I don't know. Maybe he's a bit more of a striker than he is a winger, but he definitely seemed to make more intelligent runs as a forward than he normally does as a wing. So, all in all, though, didn't really affect the game as much as I would have liked him to. Had a couple really, really good chances they probably should have finished. One where he should have nipped it around the keeper, but didn't really get enough of a touch on it. So, I don't know. He had his moments where it was like, that's good, and then there moments where that's not good. So all in all, I don't know if he's our answer for Martinez being out for the next month. Um, so I don't know, just good and bad in his game. Hopefully he can step up the good and take away some of the bad. Onto the subs. Of course, the first two subs on are Almiron and Carmona. I got to figure out whether I want to say Almiron or Almiron. Almiron. Almiron? I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, Almiron comes on, does well. Just he's been our most dangerous player in my opinion as far as his work, his movement on the ball, his passes. Have all been really, really dangerous. And so he comes on, takes him a little bit to get into the game, but once he's in it, I mean, created two or three really good chances that we probably should have finished near the end of the game. And he's just that type of player. He can nip in when you least expect it. Everything seems to be going great for you, and all of a sudden here comes Almiron, and he's on the ball. He's dangerous for the defense. He's a very dangerous player, and I love watching him on the ball, watching him play. It's a lot of fun to watch. So Carmona comes on, sort of solidifies the midfield a little bit more, but because he's more of a roaming midfielder, and Laurentowicz was supposed to be, I think, a bit more of the stagnant defensive mid who just stays there in the middle. They both got caught roaming. Like I said, Laurentowicz doesn't really stay in the middle. He kind of pushes out wide or pushes up a little bit too much. And so Carmona, expecting Laurentowicz to be there, he steps out wide to make a challenge. It gets passed inside. Laurentowicz isn't there, and now Carmona's not there either. So if they're going to play at the same time, they need to be communicating a bit more. There needs to be more communication as to, okay, so who has this man, who needs to track this man, because honestly, that the midfield needs to communicate. It's basic 101. If you're not talking, if you're not communicating, you don't know who has who. All of a sudden, these guys are opened up and they're free. So, yeah, I think overall that was the biggest concern for me, was more of the working with Laurentowicz in the middle. I just don't think that they really work well off of each other. He came on for McCann. Almiron came on for Pearson. And then finally Jones came on for Villalba. Did okay. Probably should have scored at the end just because he had two clear-cut chances, in my opinion. Well, the second one was just put it away. Just put it to a corner away from the defender, away from the keeper, but instead he kicks it right at the defender. But he's putting himself in the right positions. He's winning. Honestly, the one thing that I think works really well for him is that he wins those long balls. So whenever Can kicks it up the field, and he's there, he's winning it. And that's something that you don't really get with Martinez. He's putting defenders off, no doubt. He's getting up there. He puts them off so they don't have a clean header, so we can win off of that. But Jones is more of the, I'm going to win this header and flick it on for you, so make the run in behind. And that's why I think if you put Martinez and Jones up top together, you've got Jones jumping up to win the header, and Martinez nips in behind. And now it's just a flick on to Martinez, who's just making that run in, one-on-one with the keeper. Boom, goal, brilliant. But he definitely does. I don't think he is our main striker to put up there. I think if you're going to put him up there, you need to have somebody else up there with him. I think that's where Almiron, he was a little bit less of a midfielder near the end and more of a secondary striker. It was more like we had Gressel out right, Assad out left, and then Almiron was sort of a secondary striker coming in with Jones. He played a lot more advanced with Carmona and Laurentowicz in the middle. And that's where Jones would win that first header, and Almiron's there. He's there to win the ball. He's there to hold possession, and that's what created that clear-cut chance for Jones that, fortunately, he kicked off the defender. But I just think that really, really works well. But if you're going to put him up there all by himself, I don't know if he has the skill or the technical side of the game to really hold off the defender and keep it while somebody else makes the run. I think he's more of a, I'm going to either flick it on or I'm going to chest it down and then play it quickly. I don't know if he can just hold it and keep people off of him. I haven't seen that part of his game yet, so maybe he can. I don't know yet. But from what I saw, I'm glad that we have a striker like that who can get out there and just use his big body and tall frame to just win the ball and keep it going. So, like I said, all in all, it's a good result for us. A draw at Seattle is not something that you have to get easily. Seattle is definitely one of the more dangerous teams in the league. And on top of that, they have, I know Seattle and Portland have probably two of the best fan bases in the MLS. We're getting there, though. We're selling out week after week, so we're going to be one of those fan bases. I believe it. So, long story short, a draw is not a bad result. Good performance overall. Looking forward to seeing what they're going to do next week. So, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Who was your man of the match? What were your thoughts on this game? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Atlanta United reviews, and I'll see you at the next one.